the graphing really quickly. But one thing actually that I'm gonna do just an alignment, I'm gonna make this, no, I want rotation. I'm gonna make this rotated up so that I can do this. And you can also do some things with like format alignment. I actually want this to be in the center, or I want this to be in the middle, right, to bring that up. And then I don't think I'm gonna get rid of this, delete column, and then I'm gonna actually put this over here. But again, we could actually put the time in weeks at the top of this column. But now I can actually scroll over and this, what's more over here, this person had, calculated an average. And so actually this makes sense of, where to actually make this graph from. So I'm actually gonna put the duration of the infection. Yeah, this might be like average of percent of people infected. And then this is, I'm just gonna, there's different ways. Okay, so it should be that if I just select, oh wait, I actually want to select, okay. So this will be a good, these are the X values. And then actually the different Y values are these. So if I do command, I can select those all at the same time. And then I can do insert chart. There's also a button for it over here. I think it's that one. And then let's see what Google Sheets does with this. Okay, so that's definitely not what I want, right? So I probably want a scatter plot, but let's see what they do. So actually, yeah, that looks really similar to the graph that person came up with. But you always want to check this, right? So my x-axis is what you want to be time. And again, like this data table could be the opposite. I might see if I can go and do that one really quickly as well. And then I've got each one, right? U, V, W, X, like those are all on there. And then so I think the only thing I want to do is I want to use row 8 as the headers. See if this will work. Perfect. Oh no, I do want to do that. And so now notice that this is identifying, right, which line, the blue is the 5%, the 10 is so these are the independent variables. And then I think some people have an idea about how to customize. So you would want to say, chart title, but definitely horizontal axis. This is my time in weeks. See if that works. And then vertical axis is going to be percent of people infected. And then again, you can do a chart title. And then there should also be a place to, so with the series, you could, whether your legend, how you want that. I'm trying to see if there's a way to connect these with a line. Yeah, I don't want that. Nope. So something like that might work for a trend line. You can also, I'm going to just see here if a line graph, but sometimes, and then I'm actually going to take out so the line graph would also work, right? And you can actually see your individual data points. If you do the line graph, I would take out the trend line. Series, right? So that would also work. And then just be aware that if you set this up with the data like this, it'll still work. And you could just, right, you're going to select these and you'll just say time, you'll set that as your x-axis. Right, you could plot each of your averages, that average, my average for 10. So any of those methods will work. So go ahead, most people are working on data tables, but I wanted to at least make this kind of tutorial so that if you weren't sure where to find something and where to graph it, you could find this. But also feel free, you can always comment on the sheet and say, look, I have this data, but why won't it get into the graph that I want? But I wanted people to have an idea of the graph that you were trying to make, time on the x-axis, series as different lines, so that you can really see the full picture of what's going on there. And then the next task is essentially explaining the trends in this graph. And this is a really good example of, first of all, you could explain the patterns, right? So why is it that the people that are infected go up? You could start to explain, like, why does this decrease happen? And it happens pretty much everywhere, but at different time points, right? And then you would certainly want to try to explain the difference in between the independent variables. So when the infection is really short, why do you get this peak at a much sooner time? Why do these go down to 0, whereas these don't? So what people are trying to do eventually is really thoroughly explain the data in their graph. And again, this is kind of the first summative that we have like this, but I want people to kind of start, see where you are in terms of collecting your data, putting it in a table, graphing it, and explaining that data.